Gamification really looks at taking some of the mechanics from games and some aspects of what we would call structured play, whereas I think play can be much wider than that. I think the conference hasn't happened before, probably because the market hasn't really been ready for this kind of approach.
Chronyko, can you tell us a little bit about your company?
So Chronyko is an immersive learning business. We design, develop and deliver immersive learning experiences to a wide range of organizations.
I'm here with Martin Rooks of Chronyko, big supporter of the playsecure conference. Martin, it's a pleasure to welcome you. How are you doing?
Thank you. It's great to be here. Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
Yes, I'm really looking forward to the conference. So many exercises, games, angles, panels, fireside chats. What are you going to be talking about on the day?
So at the conference, we're going to be talking about immersive learning, which is a concept whereby we use storytelling, puzzles, games, theatrical performance as a way of creating learning experiences that they use to both develop an exercise or a wide range of skills used in the workplace.
And why is that important? I mean, what problem is it, seeking to solve?
So the biggest problem that we're addressing is really around engagement with more traditional forms of learning. So a lot of people are used to classroom-based learning, and that is a learning style that doesn't necessarily suit every person. And it's not necessarily a learning style that fits with every industry, and particularly in industries that are fast-paced like cybersecurity. Immersive learning gives you some great tools to be able to change the methods of teaching and thereby enhance the actual learning that's achieved.
And can you give us maybe an example of where non-immersive learning is not maybe as effective?
So the examples really come down to the individual learners, where there are people who find it difficult to concentrate and focus within a classroom-based environment, who don't learn from seeing kind of PowerPoints and then the learning style doesn't necessarily adapt to information being presented in that way, whereas they're often kind of much more visual or they prefer much more embodied experiences in order to undergo the most effective form of learning.
And so what really enthused you most about the topic of immersive learning?
So I think it's really the ability to engage a wider range of people in education, particularly within corporate learning and corporate education. I think the most interesting part of it is the fact that we can really make learning fun. So actually by taking people outside of their roles and outside of the constraints that the workplace often puts on them, and creating these fun environments, we can actually stimulate learning in a much better way. And it actually then becomes much more enjoyable for the people who are actually delivering that, and also the learners themselves. So I think that's the key thing from our perspective.
I like it. And if there's an employee out there and they're looking at more fun training, how can they communicate that internally? Because I suppose even with the playsecure conference, it has connotations of non-work activity. How can they sort of frame it in a more positive light?
So I think what's really important to do is to talk about the skills that are needed within roles within the modern workplace. And I mean, the last 12 months have really shown everyone that flexibility and adaptability are some of those key things. And from that leads to a whole series of skills, capabilities, like problem solving, for example. And I think then if you can frame the need in those terms, I think it becomes a lot easier then to start to understand what kinds of solutions are needed to that. And I think anyone, even within a corporate context, would see that if you're trying to develop problem-solving skills, then a classroom isn't necessarily, or classroom-based learning isn't necessarily the best forum for that. And I think that then starts to provide more of a kind of an informed conversation around then what learning approaches are most effective in that situation.
I like it. And I guess, a lot of people have finished their studies, they finished their schooling, and they took an approach. Well, formal learning is concluded. and perhaps immersive learning is a way to keep it going. Why has a conference like the PlaySecure conference generated so much sort of interest, do you think? Because even we've been surprised by how much enthusiasm there has been. I know obviously this is an internal matter, but why do you think there's perhaps a zeitgeist for it right now?
So I think part of the situation comes from the fact that there's a community of people who have been doing a lot of work in this field, but have not necessarily been as joined up in the way that they are developing their content, the way that they're taking it to market, in the way that they're communicating with each other and actually starting to understand what good looks like in this field. And therefore, I think that the PlaySecure conference is long overdue in many ways, because it gives this focus for people who already have a lot of experience in this field to come together, to collaborate, to share ideas, and also to demonstrate to organizations who could benefit from these approaches that there is a group of credible people with experience and that are out there and of services and content that's available right now that will address a huge number of challenges that businesses are facing right now.
I like it. Well, obviously we don't want to spoil your presentation by giving too much away, but I think that really shapes it nicely. Martin, we're very much looking forward to your presentation and of course Chronyko's workshops and exercises during the event. I look forward to seeing you there, and yes, thank you very much for supporting the event.
Thank you. It's going to be great to be there. Looking forward to it.